jacket, you glad you dug my jive.
Have some of this hidey ho with me. Have some nicotine, it's a scream and it's free. Have it in your food, you can have it with your tea. As you're thinking and you're pondering and wonder what it be. Hidey ho is a Callaway vibe. Where you're hip and you're clean and you ain't taking no drive. Speaking of jive, I think I was on the label that was.
All right. Hey, welcome to another podcast. Welcome, guys. Thank you for tuning in today. We have a guest with us. The doc is out. Dixie.
Hello.
Welcome and thank you for joining us, Dixie.
Well, thanks for having me, guys.
Well, what are you smoking?
It's a Leather Rose by Drew Estate. It is a sweeter cigar. It's one of my favorites. I either usually go to the Leather Rose or the Sweet Jane. Yeah, smoking pretty well so far.
What are you smoking today, Chris? You know, I'm just going back to this is a quick little chat session. So just doing a quick little 5x60 Year of the Dragon.
Year of the Dragon. Mm-hmm. And I am going to be smoking the Ashton VSG, the Virginia Sun-Grown.
That's a good one.
It is a tasty cigar so far.
But one of the questions I want to bring up to ask you guys kind of is, is it okay for Christians to smoke cigars? What do you think?
I don't see there being a problem with it as long as it doesn't become an addiction or an idol or something that you have to do.
Right.
So in modesty.
In modesty, yes.
I see a lot of I run across a lot of couples and I see a lot of pairs come into it, just in the cigar shop, you know. And, you know, it's always kind of different. Sometimes you get the couples that one of them has a problem with the other person smoking the cigar,
right,
and the other one doesn't. And I have to say, usually, you know, 9 times out of 10, it's the female that seems to have
right. They usually don't like the smell.
Smoking cigars.
Right. Yeah.
Smell has something to do with
it. The smell does have a lot to do with it, I believe. You know, and then.
So you being a female,
right? Yeah.
I mean, what is your thought on cigars? Obviously, you're smoking a cigar right now.
Yeah, you know, I actually like cigars, so I might be a little biased, but I don't necessarily see a problem with anyone really enjoying a cigar. They're not full of chemicals. They're not. It's literally tobacco leaf, you know. And if you was to compare a cigar to a cigarette, you know, the cigarettes they have like hundreds of chemicals within them.
Well, have you read the news? There's a recent study that came out in 2021. Do you guys know about that?
No, share that with me.
Well, it's from the Harm Reduction Journal. It's a panel of 4 doctors, actually. So this is new information. 2021, you can look it up, do the research. Don't just go off my word on it, but I'm just sharing the information. But they did basically a case study of 750,000 people. So we're not talking about 10,000 people. We're talking about 100,000 people, which is actually the bar for common tests like this. But 750,000, so close to 1 million people. Wow. And of those, they actually ran quite a big test. They did people who smoked cigarettes their whole life, people that smoked cigarettes and tobacco, people that didn't smoke at all, people that only smoked cigars. It was a full study. What they found, and I'll just read it off their page. You can look it up yourself. But of the 750,000, there was 14,000 deaths. The causes were included. So there's a bunch of different causes. 3,426 never smoked tobacco. 3,276 exclusive cigarette smokers. But I want to bring out some details. Only 176 exclusive cigar users. Okay? The latter had no statistical significance evidence of increased mortality from all causes: heart disease, neoplasms, cerebrovascular disease, smoking-related disease, if anything like that. So, in conclusion, the study provided evidence that male cigar, I forgot to mention, this was a study done from 40-year-olds to 79.
Oh, wow, okay.
So, the study provided that 40 plus had elevated mortality. However, after accounting for cigarette smoking, those variables were significantly increased. And in conclusion, if you are just a cigar smoker and you never smoked cigarettes, never touched in your life, they concluded that the significant evidence of mortality rate was not increased.
Oh, wow.
And that's a big deal. That's a huge study.
Yeah.
And that raises some questions.
It's funny. You asked if I heard about it, but I hadn't heard about it. So you don't hear others sharing this particular study either. So,
which is important to talk about, I think.
Right.
But the question comes up is why? How come on a cigar, on the case, but you're just a cigar smoker, how come you don't have the increased mortality rate that you do with cigarettes? And there is definitely an answer for this. But what do you guys think?
I think that with cigars, there's not a bunch of chemicals and everything else mixed into the cigar. So what you have is just straight tobacco. And you don't inhale cigars like you do cigarettes and other things that people smoke. So by not inhaling, are cigars bad for you? Yes, if you overdo it. Something I read the other day said that, for a cigar to really be harmful for your health, you would have to be chain smoking like 3 cigars a day back to back to back. But if you're just smoking one cigar a day, or maybe a couple spread out throughout the day, it's really not having that effect because you don't inhale.
Right.
Yeah, here's the difference. And these are just facts. You can like them or not, but cigarettes have over 700 ingredients in one cigarette, not a pack, one cigarette. Guess what? How many ingredients are in a cigar? One ingredient, tobacco leaf.
Right.
Now, why is there so much crap in the cigarettes like that? Why do they have to put that in there? Hey, you're talking benzene, arsenic, acetone. There's a hydrogen cyanide. This is what they're putting in the cigarettes.
That's why people get addicted to smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, well, let me go back to something. You know when they started putting that stuff in? 1970. It is around the era.
Yeah.
Started putting that stuff in. The reason being is because the tobacco users of our country back in the 30s and 40s, they even sent troops off to World War II with packs of cigarettes. That was prior to them putting stuff in there, because they came to the government and they said, how come we need these to be more addictive? They actually went to universities and colleges. This is the list of stuff that they came up with, their addictive qualities. They don't want you to know about that, though. They don't want.
Right.
So
yeah.
The reason why I'm bringing this to the light is because these are completely different than a cigarette, and they shouldn't even be put into the same basket. That'd be like me coming. Hey, Adam, here's a white egg from the grocery store. Here's a egg from my chicken egg, my coop in the backyard.
Right.
They're both eggs.
Right.
They're both eggs. There's no debating that. Adam, which egg do you want? The clean from the grocery store?
From the grocery.
Well, you're a weirdo. Which egg will you want?
I want the farm fresh, Reese.
And why? Why?
It's fresher. It's got more nutrients in it. It doesn't have it's not set on the shelf for 100 days.
They're both eggs.
Well, I understand.
One can't be better.
It can't.
It's not true. One can be better. For sure. You know the difference of that egg compared to the same thing with nicotine.
I thought you were trying to tell me I was wrong.
People tend to go towards what they know.
Right.
So for someone like me who has never lived on a farm and hasn't really had farm fresh produce,
right,
or eggs or stuff like that, it's easy for me to see. Okay, I want the store bought, because when you get
they come washed, they're already packaged. You don't got to go out in the yard and get it.
Most of the time, all the eggs you're getting are white. When you get it from the chicken straight from the farm, you can get different colored eggs. And, yes, it's the same on the inside, but, it's people tend to go towards what they know.
Right.
Well, they throw it into a category is my point. And it's all like all eggs are the same. It's not true.
Right. Yeah.
So not all tobacco is the same, not all nicotine. And there's a good argument coming out with all this new research and stuff that nicotine in and of itself could have some healing capabilities. I'm not saying like healing for cancer. The thing we're talking about is like the common cold. That is actually case studies and known that nicotine helps battle and combat the common cold.
Yeah, that's interesting. Very interesting.
Either one of you guys ever smoked cigarettes?
Never, not once.
I had, yeah.
How long did you smoke cigarettes?
I smoked cigarettes from probably around 15 years old to about 27.
And what was it about cigarettes that,
Oh, it was probably more of the addiction than anything, being addicted to them, the angriness if I didn't get to have my cigarette.
So you couldn't go throughout the day without having it,
right?
Because
Without
the chemicals and everything in it made it so you were reliant upon it.
Absolutely, yes, yeah. But I could probably go all day without having a cigar and be fine.
I can sit here and honestly tell you, I do about once a year. I'll take about a month off. It doesn't bother me. I actually kind of look forward to it. I like to clean the palate. It's almost like a cleanse.
Yep.
100% I'm not addicted to these, like 100%. I have never smoked cigarettes. So I don't know that side of the. I'm never putting in those chemicals in my body.
Here's another thing to think about. How many guys go to a cigarette shop and sit around with other men and just sit and have cigarettes and share about the Lord? It's not really something that happens, you know? Yeah.
Doesn't happen.
So it's more than just a cigar for me too, you know. It also wraps up into somewhat of a ministry as well, you know.
See, I smoke cigars. I don't necessarily have one every day.
Right.
I mean, I'll have one if I'm hanging out with people, and then there'll be 2 or 3 days, depending on what I'm doing, that I won't have one, and I don't really feel like I need one.
Right.
But the reason I smoke isn't because I have to.
Right.
It's because I enjoy to. So I enjoy smoking cigars. I enjoy the just relaxing and kind of decompressing throughout my day.
Right.
And just, it's some me time, or it's time for me to hang out with friends and enjoy something. And so that's why I smoke cigars.
I think there's just some common, and two right off the bat is cigars are addictive. So if you're in a relationship or a marriage or whatever it may be, and your partner doesn't quite understand tobacco and the roots of it and where it came from and what you're actually partaking in, then all they're going to see is the red flags that, we're not going to say the word, but that they're trying to teach us about, right? Nicotine's addictive. Nicotine causes cancer. Nicotine's bad for you. Bad nicotine, right? Well, now we're starting to discover some things. Nicotine itself is not a bad drug. It's what they put into it that makes it extremely bad.
Right.
And the chemicals are terrible for you. Is it addictive? I'll stand here and tell you right now, not cigars.
Right. Yeah.
Cigarettes, I have literally seen people have withdrawals and shake.
Well, they have filters on cigarettes that are supposed to block some of that chemical, but you're still getting it.
Right.
And you inhale cigarettes all the way into your lungs, where cigar smoke.
Correct.
I mean, yes, you're gonna get some, and you're gonna have the tobacco in your mouth, but you're not actually inhaling the smoke.
Steady picking it out.
As far as some of the smells go, what do you think is what could be helpful? I suppose to.
So, helpful. There's not really much of anything that will really mask the cigar smell. If I'm being honest, I would assume, so when I was pregnant, my husband smoked cigars, and to me, when he would come into the house, he would change his clothes, wash his hands, and brush his teeth. That was very helpful for me because I didn't necessarily get all of the secondhand smoke off of the clothing and what have you.
Gotcha.
Another thing is, not smoking in the house. That's great. It doesn't mess up the house and stuff.
I couldn't imagine smoking cigars in the house. I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
That would be
you
need to have a smoke.
Clean, but
Yes. Cigars have a more of a cloudy.
My wife wouldn't let me smoke cigars in the house. I tried to smoke them in the garage, and I tried to filter it out, and she would still kind of complain that she can smell it coming through the door.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a strong tobacco smell.
Right. Yeah.
And, it is a lot thicker, heavier smoke than cigarettes.
Right.
But you don't have all the chemicals
Right.
in it. You smoke a cigarette in the house, people smoke in the house, and the walls are covered in the yellow nasty chemicals and stuff that
Right.
out of that, where, yes, you're going to get some in a cigar shop or in smoking cigars indoor, you're going to get a little bit of that, but not near as bad as because it has no chemicals.
Right.
Right.
So is smoking a sin? What is it a sin in the Bible? I mean, what does it say in the Bible, or does it say anything at all in the Bible about smoking?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and answer that one. That no, the answer is no. The smoking tobacco is not a sin. It's not recognized in the Bible as something that you stumble upon. I think what the thing that people would get tripped up or stumble on within the Bible are referred to addictions. So anything that has an addictive pattern, addictive quality, could be a stumbling block for somebody. Now, it doesn't mean that everybody that drinks alcohol gets addicted to it. And that's not the case.
It's okay to drink alcohol.
Right. It's
In moderation, as long as you're not drinking to get drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because once you get drunk, then you're idolizing the alcohol, and that is in turn a sin.
Right.
But even Catholics serve wine when they're passing out the bread and everything. They serve.
Whenever I think about what God allows us or doesn't allow us to do, I think about what did God put in our bodies and why is it there? That's a great question to ask yourself if you're partaking in something. So tobacco, what does that affect? It's acetylcholine. So it hits your brain. There's studies where it helps you focus. There's things about hunger. Tobacco in itself, you have a receptor built that God gave you in your brain for that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thing it does.
Mm-hmm.
THC is another one. We're not going to get into THC, but that's another receptor that's in your brain. God put that there.
Right.
Now let's think about tobacco. Is that a man-made thing? Absolutely not.
No, it's
Tobacco is a plant.
Yeah, it grows from the seed.
Different kinds of plants. Same with marijuana is a plant as well.
Right.
And didn't the Bible say God created all things?
Right.
I think he did say that.
So if God created all things, did he create the tobacco plant?
Mm-hmm.
100% he did. Yep.
So if he created the tobacco plant, I mean, in my opinion, it's not a sin to smoke cigars as long as you don't make it an addiction and make it something that you have to have.
Right.
And if you're going to smoke a cigar, I mean, anything you do in life, you need to do for the glory of God.
Right. Yeah.
So smoking the cigar is, I'm smoking it for the glory of God.
Right.
Because when I smoke cigars,
There's usually
we talk about
conversations. Yeah, there's usually
you have conversations, and I mean, we even have a small group that we get together called Holy Smokes, where a bunch of men get together, smoke cigars,
Yeah.
and talk about our problems with each other, and talk about.
And I would much rather my husband be attending something like that than a traditional bar and getting sloshed at the bar doing Lord knows what with who,
Mm-hmm. Or strip club.
or a strip club or, really anything like that. I'd much rather my husband be like in a circle of godly, strengthening men and sharpening each other's iron,
Mhm.
So it's great.
I can attend the point if you don't smoke cigars, I might have a.
I will say that I've known people who are members of the church or pastors or whatnot, and they have to be very careful what they do outside of church and who's watching, because a lot of people judge and a
Right.
lot of people think that drinking alcohol or
Right.
smoking cigars or anything on that line is not okay to do if you're in a leadership type of position.
Right.
But anything in moderation, as long as you're not putting it above things that are important,
Right.
I don't see there being a problem with it.
No, it's a lot of times I have to kind of laugh because our body's a temple, right? That's what Jesus says.
Yeah.
And it kind of makes me laugh because the people will sit there and sneer, snub their nose if you're smoking a cigar, or if you go out to dinner and you have a glass of wine. There are people that are anti-alcohol, right? And then you watch these people, and where are they going? They're going right to the drugstore, right into to Walgreens and getting the prescription drugs that are not even God made.
Right.
A lot of that stuff,
Right.
prescription drugs, are
Yeah.
really bad if you
Yeah.
really want to get into that.
Yeah.
And then you also, right after they leave the prescription drug aisle, they get in their car and they drive through McDonald's.
Ah,
And we know it's a McDonald's.
yeah.
So
Ooh.
it's almost like a double standard.
It is.
It makes me laugh. Like,
Absolutely.
I choose not to put those poisons in my body. I
Right.
don't do fast food.
So is
I do
fast
not do
food a
prescription
drug?
drugs.
Because fast food is addicting.
They add chemicals to the food.
Yes.
It is not solely nutritious food. They do add chemicals. I used to be a big fan of Chick-fil-A until I learned to myself that they put over 90 chemicals in their chicken.
Really?
I'm like, wow. And it shocked me. I was like, wow, that's incredible. Why?
Well,
You know,
that's
why?
actually why. Yeah.
Chicken's chicken. Bread it, fry it, cook it, throw it out the door to us. Yeah.
I think a lot of places put chemicals in things to make them last longer, more time before it spoils. And it's when you're dealing with the mass numbers of, like, say, chicken sandwiches, you have to.
Right.
I mean, you can't just make them to order.
Right.
So
Throw a little cardboard in there. We'll be fine.
they put some chemicals in there to make things last longer, have shelf stability.
Right. Yeah. Yep. I mean, I understand why they do what they do, but I don't understand at the same time. I'm like, why? What's the, why would they put arsenic in a cigarette?
So I can answer that. Tobacco wasn't making enough money.
Right.
So they weren't selling enough cigarettes. So they went to the bigger organizations and said, what can we do to make these addictive?
Right.
That's what you get.
They did. They made them addictive. They advertise a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I was a kid, you saw tons of commercials from Marlboro and Amstel.
Right. Yeah.
And
Now I don't think they can advertise.
they can't. They can't. So they don't want to advertise to kids and have, when you make it look so appealing
Uh-huh.
on a TV ad, who's the ones who want to try it?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Kids.
Mm-hmm.
Well, flavored vapes, that's a whole nother category.
Right.
And now that's causing a lot of medical issues.
A lot.
I also want to bring up infusions, because some of these cigars are flavored, and the scary word is these are infused. Well, let me describe what infusion is. Basically, it's if you take a box, you put a cigar into it, unflavored cigar, natural leaf tobacco, put it in there, and you want to have a bourbon flavor. You'll take a little glass of bourbon, whatever flavor you choose, put it in that box, you seal it up, and over time, the natural flavor of that bourbon soaks into the leaf of the tobacco, and that's how you get an infused cigar. That's all it is. You're actually not, infusion doesn't mean they're stabbing and infusing these leaves.
We're soaking.
It's just, correct, yeah, it's just the fumes.
Tobacco is a leaf that absorbs humidity. So whatever humidity's in the air, so if you, like for instance, the bourbon, if you put it in a compartment, the leaf itself is going to absorb
Mm-hmm.
the humidity from the bourbon and in change give it flavor.
I wonder how they made the wasabi flavored cigars. Those are interesting.
Very.
I don't know.
Yeah, those are
Infusion.
Yeah.
Wasabi infusion, yep.
interesting.
Very. Well, guys, looks like you guys are kind of wrapping that up. Are we?
Getting about most of the way done here.
I appreciate you guys coming on and having a little quick discussion. And
If you guys have any thoughts or questions about what we talked about today, and if you think that smoking is a sin in the Bible, or if you have any thoughts of your own, like, subscribe, share it in the comments, and we'll be happy to reply and answer that for you.
all right, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys on the next podcast.
Yeah, have a good one.